There's death, there's destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live. This is why we need independent media.
Cheers and salutations, everyone. We here at Hard Lens Media have been in full support of actually seeing change get done and also speaking to people that have different perspectives and points of view. On this programming, we have interviewed 4 outstanding individuals, each of different political alignments, ranging from libertarians to populists to progressives to independents, to talking about the Rage Against the War Machine. So what is Rage Against the War Machine? Before I introduce my guests and my co-hosts, I want to play this video of what Rage Against the War Machine is about and why all of us need to start paying attention for February 19th. It's an anti-war rally. Now, we need to start building a real movement of change, standing up to the political establishment that caters to Wall Street, big banks, big pharma, and of course, big oil and the military industrial complex. And now we're seeing firsthand a united front, at least the beginning of something, calling out the wickedness of the fact that we have money for war, but we have zero money for schools, the American people, education, and so much more. So I want to play it for all of you, our viewers and subscribers.
So this isn't just a libertarian rally. This isn't a left-wing rally or a right-wing rally. This is a anti-war rally. And you were correct. When Barack Obama became president, Barack Obama would say things like the Afghanistan war is the good war. Well, you can't be anti-war and think there's good wars. And I don't think people realize just how, I've been saying this a lot lately, just how corrupt their government is. Would you agree that Americans think that our government is just kind of regular corrupt, but instead of what it actually is, it's 100% corrupt, and that the only way the gears of government works is in the direction of corruption? Well, that's where we can come together. People like me, who I consider myself left of the Democratic Party, and people like you, who is a libertarian right-winger, and we can agree that we need to end empire and invest that money back in our own country. And I think we can come together on this, and I'm gonna.
Absolutely. I love it.
All right. And talking about it right now, especially with Rage Against the War Machine and all the groups that are going to be part of it, I want to first introduce my co-host, Lauren Schneider. Thank you so much for joining us. And returning onto our show again, the outstanding Misty Winston. So much. She's done a lot of work with a lot of groups and organizations. She's a speaker of Truth to Power. Misty, it's so lovely to have you here. Now, it's quite clear that there is that always critical pushback of Rage Against the War Machine. Why are libertarians and People's Party and progressives and independents coming together? This is not right. It should not be considered legitimate. Why are you participating in it? Why are you speaking and in support of this? Can you explain to our viewers and subscribers why?
Yeah.
This event on February 19th is important, and what are some of the things that perhaps most people on social media are ignoring?
Well, I mean, the people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe the Libertarian Party and lefties are getting together to want to end war. I mean, clutch your pearls. Duh. I mean, this is something that we should all be able to agree on. The war machine has been raging on for far too long, completely unchallenged and unchecked. There is no accountability. And I think that this is something that's long overdue. I mean, and you know me, Kit. I'm somebody who has preached for a very long time that we should come together where we can find agreement. I think that we do have a lot of things that we can come together on where we do agree on, maybe not the end goal, but we agree. You know what I mean? Like we can always find those kind of points of, where we at least can join together to fight against the system that, is designed to kill us all. There's some, outstanding disagreements that we may have or whatever, but we can't even begin to deal with those until we deal with that system. So I think it's fantastic. I mean, this is something that I preach about and, wish there would be more of it happening. I myself have gone on a little bit of a personal journey over the last couple of years in my work for Assange, trying to really step outside of my own political bubble, making a conscious effort and choice to step outside of my own political bubble. And in doing so, I have met and developed friendships with some really incredible people who I disagree with on a whole host of issues. But they're amazing people. They're good people. And we're able to come together on those things like ending the war machine and like freeing Julian Assange. And so when, the organizers of this event, and I just want to make it clear, I am not an organizer of this event. I don't want to take any undue credit. I am very much just helping kind of on the outside on the Assange stuff, the messaging for the Assange stuff, all of that. So I don't want to take any undue credit. There's a lot of really incredible people doing the really hard work of making this happen. And I'm very much just on the outskirts, just helping with the Assange messaging. But this is long overdue, and I'm really excited to see it. And we need to revitalize the anti-war movement. And I hope that this is going to be a good jumping off point for that.
So obviously, for those who don't know, Misty has been doing phenomenal work bringing awareness to Julian Assange. Now, we've had to be careful posting content about him on our YouTube channel because YouTube is quick to silence, censor, and suppress. Misty, I think you have the heavyweight title in knowing that better than anyone else firsthand. But the thing is, when we look at how corporate media tries to give out the overall political layout of America, corporate media, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they lay out things where, okay, conservatives and Republicans are pro-war and they're for corruption, and Democrats are peacemakers, and the liberals only care about fighting for a better future. But see, that narrative that's being presented, many Americans, I think, are successfully being brainwashed. Maybe some are waking up to the fact that we are being brainwashed, that we are being lied to, that our institutions have failed us. When you decide to make that bold step to speak to, I don't know, libertarians or conservatives or Republican voters, and again, there's a difference between regular people and politicians. All right, politicians, I don't consider them people; they're scumbags. But when you made that bold move to say, "Hey, here's this thing about Julian Assange. Here's why we should free him. Here's why we should be anti-war," what made you take that first step, that initiative? Because I think for many progressives and independents who want to build a coalition, I think there is that little bit sense of fear of, I'm afraid they're going to tell me to F off, or it's going to turn into an argument, or it might go hostile. Can you give us your thoughts on when you decide to make that step?
Yeah, and honestly, it's kind of the exact opposite of what you just said. The libertarians and the people on the right who I've spoken to have been incredibly accepting of me and welcoming to me and kind to me. They've had me on their shows, and they've done so without it being like an attempt to do like some kind of gotcha interview where they try to, get into an argument with me or whatever. They've been really welcoming. They understand, and we're both very clear on the fact that we disagree on some stuff, and that's okay. And honestly, what's really depressing is the reason why I made the choice to really step outside my political bubble, which I don't necessarily see it as like a bold move. I have friends in my real life who I don't agree with, right? I think we all should. It's a little weird that there are some people who want to isolate themselves into this little political bubble where everybody around them agrees with them 100% of the time. So it's not necessarily a bold move, but I made that choice honestly because there is a really depressing and serious lack of support for Julian Assange on the left. The left, I should say. The kind of progressive wing of the political spectrum. There's a very serious lacking in support for Julian Assange, and I've always said in my, in the work that I do for free speech and for press freedom and for Julian Assange, I don't care where the support comes from. It's not about, it's bigger than me or my ego or my political leanings or whatever. It's so much bigger than that. It's bigger than Julian Assange. So I don't care where the support comes from. When Sarah Palin came out in support of Julian Assange, I praised her for it. When Tucker Carlson does segment after segment after segment on Julian Assange, I praise him for it. I don't think that those are good people, but if, terrible people or people I don't like do good work, I think that you should definitely call attention to that. And so, yeah, I don't think it was necessarily a bold move, and they've been incredibly accepting of me and have done, I had a lot of people from across the political spectrum at the October 8th rally we did in Washington, D.C. That was part of a global day of action. And this, to me, this is one of those issues that is post-partisan. There shouldn't be party lines. This should be something that we can all agree on, very much like the anti-war messaging.
All right, Lauren, I want to give the floor to you. Do you have, obviously, I know you might have some questions for our guests as well, so take it away.
Well, the first question that came to my brain as soon as your thing popped up was, did you do that art? But that is not the important question.
I did not do, but I can shout out Artsy Marxist on Twitter. She has done a couple different paintings for me, and that is the first one that she did for me. And she is incredibly talented. And if you are an enjoyer of art, you should definitely check out her Twitter. And I think she has an art page as well.
Well, I do like it. When did you first really start delving in to this particular realm? Like, when did that start for you, either your personal journey or your public journey?
So the Assange stuff, I had always been a WikiLeaks supporter. I read the stuff and, I bought merch and I donated and all of that stuff, but I was kind of a casual supporter up until I would say about a year before he was pulled out of the Ecuadorian embassy. I really started to pick up my interest and my support, but I really went into hyperdrive on April 11th of 2019 when he was essentially kidnapped from the Ecuadorian embassy.
Thank you, Trump. Donald Trump. Yeah, that guy. The idiot.
Yeah. Thank you, Trump and Mike Pompeo, who, by the way, Mike Pompeo is going to run for office. So everybody needs to remember that that's the guy who developed plans to either kidnap or assassinate a journalist because he embarrassed him. Just remember that when he runs for president. So, yeah, I would say that April 11th, 2019, because honestly, very foolishly, I thought, come on, they're not going to arrest a journalist for doing journalism. Like, they're going to, this whole, that's going to eventually play out. And there's going to have to be this kind of ending where they allow him to leave the Ecuadorian embassy under whatever conditions. But they're not going to, and they did. And so that really was kind of a smack in the face for me personally, and just kind of set me into, I get a little obsessive about things. I tend to hyper focus on things. And as soon as that happened, that set off my hyper focus in a big way.
All right. And I the thing is, what I have to say though, with this Rage Against the War Machine, it's also shining a light on the fact that it's not only just standing up against the military industrial complex, but it's also preserving what remains, very few of it is, of independent media and free speech. We're seeing, again, firsthand with everything that's been revealed, especially with the Twitter files, most notably, but so much other stuff that's confirmed what we all know, and that is that there are people, and yes, the algorithms do play a role, but there are also people and institutions and agencies that have played a pivotal role in silencing and suppressing groups, people, organizations that speak out against the neoliberal narrative that we see presented to us by corporate media. And, when we look at Barack Obama's presidency, for example, we went from 2 wars to 7, and since then we've been ongoing, and now we have this horrifying conflict that's happening in Ukraine. What I want to ask you, Misty, is, are we at the point of no return? Because I know you've done a lot of work on radio, on social media. You've been an outstanding guest on numerous other shows besides Hard Lens Media. But on the ground, there comes a point to where are we too late to really do anything? And if we are too late, what comes next? Because I think a lot of us may not be prepared for this brave new world that we are being led to by our psychopathic politicians.
Yeah. And that's a really terrifying thought. And I am, naturally a cynic. My natural like leaning is to think that we're screwed. But if I didn't have a tiny bit of hope in my otherwise cold dead heart, I wouldn't do what I do. And I really do see the Assange case as very much a turning point in human history. This is kind of a fork in the road for us. And honestly, and I've said this a million times before, I don't think we can afford to lose this one. This impacts so much more than people are willing to realize. If we do not have the ability to speak, if we don't have the ability to educate ourselves and others, to have conversations, to debate ideas, I don't know where we go from there. Like you just said, I don't think a lot of people are really looking at the big picture and what that will mean for us as a whole, as a global humanity. Because really, I think what people don't seem to understand is that what's happening here is the United States is seeking global jurisdiction over information and journalism. And that's terrifying. These are people, these are known liars. How many wars have they lied us into? I mean, we've got weapons of mass destruction and incubator babies in the Gulf of Tonkin. And I mean, we can go into the Ukraine stuff too, the lies that have been told there. So it's a terrifying prospect that that's where we're headed, but that's very much where we're headed. They very much want to manufacture your reality for you. And they're really already there. And so that's the cynic in me, is that I think we really are, past the point of no return in many respects. But to me, I think the Assange thing, it's kind of our last grasp of hope that we could potentially pull some of this back. But it's going to, even then, even if we manage to prevent Julian Assange from being extradited and prosecuted in the United States, that very much does not, the fight continues like well past that. I mean, there's still a very hard fought battle that's going to need to happen. And it's going to take people coming together across ideologies and fighting together against the system. That's what it's going to take. We need people to come together. This is a fight that's bigger than any of us or any of our disagreements. And I think that's it, and it gives me hope that we're starting to see some of that. We're starting to see some people organize across those lines, as I've been doing for years. So I have a little bit of hope renewed in me. I hope that there's a huge turnout on February 19th for the Rage Against the War Machine rally. And I hope that that's, another jumping off point where we can, when we're all standing together in the same space and we're looking at each other and we understand that we're in this together, regardless of our disagreements, I think that that's a really powerful thing. And hopefully that's a motivator moving forward.
What do you think should be the biggest takeaway from the February 19th rally? And again, 29 days. In 29 days, this event will take place in Washington, D.C., the anti-war rally, Rage Against the War Machine. What do you think will be the biggest takeaway that people should get from this event? Because from what I'm seeing is the beginning of maybe a united coalition. We may not all agree with each other, but I think we all can agree that the military-industrial complex is consuming so much of our resources that Americans are, if you haven't realized it already, we are being abandoned by our two-party system. They already abandoned us, but does this look like maybe this could be the beginning? What will be your takeaway from this, and what should everyone else's takeaway be from this?
Well, I think you just said it. Well said. I think that it really is this kind of this revitalization of the anti-war movement, and in that, I think it's really recognizing that not only can we come together despite our disagreements, we absolutely should and have to. If we hope to get anything accomplished, we cannot isolate ourselves into our little political bubbles. And people, as you mentioned at the top of the show, there are people who are, just aghast that we would come together with libertarians and work with them on anything. And I think that honestly, those people are more worried about being able to sit in their safe space and feel smugly superior to everybody else than they are about actually getting anything done. Because in order to get things done, you have to form coalitions. You have to be willing to work with people who, maybe I disagree with you on abortion, or maybe I disagree with you on, whatever, economics or whatever it is. But ending the war machine should be something that can bring us all together. It's far more important for us to do that than it is to focus on the areas of disagreement that we have. This is it. I mean, this is huge. As Julian Assange once said, we're the last generation that has a chance to act. This is it. Like, we really are out of time. We're reaching this kind of global totalitarianism, this kind of global fascism. We're already really kind of there. And this, I mean, if we don't come together now and stop it, and that's why so much time and energy and resources and money and funding and, all of that stuff is spent trying to keep us divided. That's why they want us divided, because if we come together, we're so much more powerful and we're so much more effective. And that is why there will always be attempts to sabotage events like this. There will always be attempts to kind of keep us at each other's throats, because if we're fighting each other, then we're not paying attention to the man behind the curtain.
That's true. Always beware of the man in the suit and tie who is telling you just calm down and trust the system.
Yeah.
Wait, and be happy. You'll eat bugs and you'll own nothing and be happy. So
Yeah.
there you go. I mean, that's already a nightmare upon itself. When it comes down to, I guess, independent media and free speech, I mean, we already know where this is going to go to, especially when it has to deal with Assange. You know, we are seeing again with the release of the Twitter files and so much else is being revealed that there is a method of censorship and suppression. So for those who perhaps might view independent media as a threat, why is it that independent media right now is the only one calling for the release of Assange so he could live his life, you know, in peace and hopefully someday recover, because what he's going through is torturous in its own right. Why is it that it's only select few independent media networks that are bringing this situation for this one person to awareness? Because I personally feel that if he is extradited here, it is, sorry to say it, folks, the final nail in the coffin for everything. And whether you're libertarian or green or socialist, Democrat, liberal, Republican, conservative, it is the beginning or will be the final nail. So I want to give the floor to you, Misty.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly the point, is that this is, again, it's so much bigger than Julian Assange. This case signifies, I mean, the destruction of speech, the destruction of press freedom. And there will be some people who think that press freedom is this liberal idea and that it doesn't matter and it's not important. And I couldn't disagree with that thought more. We need people out there holding power to account. And that is exactly what journalism is supposed to be doing. And even if it's not, you know, the kind of typical classical journalism that we have seen throughout history, we're seeing the kind of birth and growth of independent media, where we have people who don't have corporate ties, who don't have any kind of agenda or anything, and they're just trying to get to the truth. And I think that is what we should be fighting for. So yeah, I mean, I think that this is it, and I've said it a million times, and people try to make it seem as if I'm being overly dramatic about it. I don't think I'm being dramatic enough, frankly. This is it really is, in my opinion, a turning point for not just us as Americans or as like in this country, but globally. This is going to have a massive ripple effect. And it really does end free speech as we know it, period, end of story. And we've seen it happening. We've seen that kind of build for a long time. As you mentioned, Barack Obama earlier, he went after more journalists and whistleblowers than all other presidents combined. And then we had Donald Trump, who, arrested a journalist for doing journalism and then, developed plans to assassinate him. So it's really been moving in that direction for a very long time. We're starting to see a lot of anti-protest bills, and we're starting to see a lot of, we can't challenge Israel anymore. You have to pledge allegiance to Israel, or you could, you know what I mean? You could lose your job or whatever. And so we're seeing that kind of stuff snowball. And so it really is so much bigger than just Julian Assange. It really is bigger than, just, press freedom. If that is something that bothers you, this really is about our ability as human beings to have conversations, to challenge power, to debate ideas. And that is something that to me is just an inalienable right as a human being. We should be able to do those things, and it shouldn't even be up for debate. And so, and if Julian Assange is allowed to be extradited, that really is it. That's it. That changes everything. That is, it's unprecedented. It's never happened before that a journalist has been charged under the Espionage Act. And that opens a door that I don't think we can close.
You know what? I'm the way you just described it, I just have to take a line from that's being shared on social media whenever you've been brought up in regards for the freedom for press freedom and so much more. But you've seen this video before, but it's you saying, we're so effed. We're so fucked right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thanks,
Just-
Warren.
yes. So there you go. Good old Uncle Warren. We
Yeah,
can
Warren,
thank him.
I
Yeah.
hate it when he does that to me.
damn you, Warren. Damn
Yes.
you. So
I
there
love
you go.
Warren, but damn you,
Yes,
Warren.
Yes. But I want to hand the floor over to Lauren. Please take it away.
Well, everything that y'all have been describing right now, it feels like this is like how dictatorships start to form. It's a slow roll to fascism, and it starts by cutting the freedom of the press. And we've seen like America like go up in arms if they arrest some journalists in Russia or Korea or something. They're like, oh, free them immediately. It's like, but we're doing it.
Yes.
Like it's happening here too. Like they want to do the same exact thing here, and no one seems to be equating those two things. It's like we can't freak out when someone is arrested in North Korea or Russia for doing journalism and spilling those secrets to the people. It's like because this time it's American dirty laundry. So it's like I mean, we saw like a similar like pushback with like the Pentagon Papers and things like every single time that a journalist has kind of not every single time, because people liked what Frost did with Nixon, which I'm still not sure exactly where the difference is there.
I think that was kind of a manufactured situation anyways. But
that's also possible. But it's like a lot of like other times in our history where someone has come forward with like information that shows America in a dirty light, it immediately gets, nope, didn't happen. It's lies. It's fabricated. It's like, and then like, of course, like things with the Pentagon Papers, they're coming up with like, yep, that was true. We did that. And also that one, we also did that. So it's just like, I don't know. Like I said, it does feel like we're watching our country become a dictatorship. We're watching it happen and we're thinking, well, it can't happen here.
Yeah.
And
one of the first things that fascists do is cut off speech and cut off press freedom. That's why it's so frustrating to me to see people on the left completely drop the ball on this. I mean, where's Antifa on this? You know what I mean? Like, where's the anti-fascist crowd? Like, there is no greater example of fascism than what's happening with Julian Assange and with press freedom. And not just him. I mean, we just saw recently at the Black Lives Matter protest, journalists being photographed and cataloged and arrested and detained and, rubber bullets shot at them and all of that stuff. Like, it's escalating rapidly. I mean, this really is ever since Obama. I mean, it's really been for decades, but I think Obama really kind of lit a huge fuse, and it's really been, the snowball has been rolling much quicker down the mountain, and we have to get in front of this thing because we're very quickly losing to a global fascist system very quickly, and this is a huge part of that. This is going to be, like Kit said, it's like the final nail in the coffin, and I'm so glad. Thank you for bringing up the Western hypocrisy on this, because it is mind-blowing to me that every World Press Freedom Day, Kamala Harris puts out a tweet about how we love press freedom and journalists should be free to do their jobs, and Anthony Blinken talks about how we love journalists and we love journalism, and the unbelievable rank hypocrisy from these people as they are literally torturing the world's most consequential journalist is astounding. And the fact that it just goes by and nobody, I mean, that's not fair. I call them on it, other people call them on it, but generally speaking, in the broad consciousness of the American public, nobody calls them out for that. It's mind-blowing to me that they're able to get away with that. They are literally torturing a journalist right now, today. He is being tortured because of the United States. He is being held on remand in a UK prison, which is known as the Guantanamo Bay of the UK, solely because the United States says so. And so
they didn't like what he said about them.
Yeah. Well, and what's fascinating about that is he's only ever published the truth.
Yeah.
Period. He's never gotten it wrong. WikiLeaks has never published a word that has had to be retracted. So as embarrassing as it is to people in power, maybe don't commit war crimes. Let's start there. That's
a controversial statement, Misty.
Maybe don't commit war crimes. But that's my whole day.
Hey,
I know, right?
Whoa. That Misty.
Going
violence.
too far.
How else am I supposed to make money?
Do it the honorable way.
Right.
Wait a minute.
We can't have that.
Give the children proper schools, rebuild our roads.
Healthcare.
What? Yo, that is
we got innocent people to bomb.
Yes, exactly.
Don't be silly.
So I want to return back to Rage Against the War Machine. Obviously, there's a whole lineup of great speakers and organizers. So obviously, Action for Assange is going to be there, as well as numerous other groups, as well as the People's Party and Libertarian Party are going to be there. So I know you said and here's the thing, I'm going to correct you. Don't dismiss yourself and say, oh, I'm just on the sidelines. You have done a lot of work in the past. In fact, you are the rule of what I would call an activist and organizer that does a thing I like to call follow through and being consistent. So you are one of the dauntless few, and one of the few that I respect. I was like, oh, Misty's there. Well, then okay, there's legitimacy. There's some stuff happening. Okay, that's how much of a stand. So, what exactly are you guys doing to really help spread the word about Rage Against the War Machine? I know there's social media, but like there's a lot of things that I want to at least encourage my audience and everyone watching this to be aware of. Obviously, we're going to be clipping this so that this could show up onto our TV show on Can TV, which is a public access network. So not only do we have our YouTube, Odyssey, Rockfin, Rumble, and Twitch platforms, but we also have our television show. And I know that you are on a lot of social media, but what else can people do to heavily promote this so that there is a turnout? And also, yes, we will be live streaming this. I know there are people on the ground. So when you guys go live, we'll also be, you know, we won't be there on the ground, which is unfortunate. I do apologize for that, but we will at least be sharing this live stream event on the Hardlands Media YouTube channel. So what else can people do to promote this and share it? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are just waiting in wings just to make it happen.
Yes. Well, I mean, obviously, like retweeting, like this conversation, like, share, subscribe to Hardlands Media. They've always been a huge supporter of me personally, but activism in general. And that is so needed in independent media. You would think that that would be something that you wouldn't have to really ask independent media to get behind. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So when you can find independent media that does not just support activism, but actually give a platform to the activists who are doing the work, that's incredible, because I think a lot of people want to get, the big name blue check people and talk to them about the thing, but they don't talk to the people who are on the ground actually putting in the work. So kudos to Hardlands Media, as always, for always having my back and other activists back. I think that's really important. So yeah, showing or sharing things on social media is always very helpful, especially given the fact that algorithmically we get screwed. It will be shadow banned. They're going to try to silence it as much as they can. So the more people that share it, the better, obviously. But just having conversations in real life with people in your community, in your family, hang up flyers. It doesn't take very much or cost very much to print out like 50 flyers, then go hang them around your neighborhood. Or, just print out a few like 4x6, just like informational things that says date, time, location, all of that stuff, and, go and hand them out to people or whatever. Especially if you live in or around the DC area on the West Coast. I think that that's a really easy way to get people, to be able to make it, just getting the word out about where it's happening. I know that the organizers for the event are going to have buses from certain cities that are nearby the DC area. So keep an eye out for that information. That'll be coming soon. So if you're in, like New York or Boston or, somewhere nearby that you want to go, but you want to, save yourself the gas money or whatever it is, keep an eye out. There's going to be some bus information coming from the organizers. But yeah, just talking about it as much as possible, sharing the information whenever and wherever you can, and really just don't be afraid to have those conversations with people that you don't agree with. Again, like if you have somebody in your family who, you vote, green and they vote Republican, who cares? Like go and have this conversation with them. Tell them that there is a post-partisan rally, an event happening on February 19th in DC to fight back against the war machine, because I can guarantee you that is going to be something that we can almost all agree on. There aren't very many people who support what's happening with the military industrial complex. It is destroying our country. It's destroying our community. It's destroying the globe. I think we can all agree on that. So having those conversations, regardless of the differences that you may have, and just spreading the word, because that's really, as with any event, it's hard, especially when it's a suppressed topic. Trust me, I know. Getting the word out about Assange events, it's not easy. So yeah, just however you can share the information with friends and family in real life, on social media, whatever you can do. Like I said, flyering your neighborhood is a huge help. I mean, it only takes, an hour or two, and, maybe 10 or 20 bucks. And that's a huge help, just getting the information out there so that people can be aware of when and where it's at so they can show up.
I've just posted something on my Facebook. I've got, most of my family lives on in the Baltimore, DC area. So I know people who live over there. So I've just posted it.
And
on
if you're
my
in
Facebook.
If you're in the Baltimore, DC, if you're in that area and you can help, hit up the organizers and ask them if there's like a way that you can, do a flyering party or whatever, and go around in the different neighborhoods around that area and flyer the neighborhoods. That's a huge, huge help. But yeah, just seriously, just getting the word out, however and wherever and whenever you can, is incredibly helpful.
And I see, this is what I like to see. And the thing is, folks, I said this on the show numerous times, we gotta step outside our bubbles. Look, we're all not going to agree with each other, but I think we'd be surprised how much there are things we do agree with. And that is, our country is falling apart. Homeowners, owning a home is becoming a dream, a fantasy at this point. Renting an apartment, okay, you got to give up you give your kidneys.
Got to have a roommate or two.
Make sure all of you give up your kidneys too at the same time. We have a thing called medical bankruptcy. We have student debt. I mean, it's quite clear that there's a treasure trove of problems facing millions of Americans. And look, the military-industrial complex consumes a lot of our resources. The Pentagon has yet to do a successful audit. So that's a thing to bring up. So when I say, it's important for us to step outside of our safe spaces, our bubbles, we have to do so. And I'm not going to say all of you are going to be successful, okay? No. But we have to make the attempt and effort to speak to individuals who might vote Republican or Libertarian or Green or Socialist or Democrat. And we have to, look past generations or religion or skin color, because I think every single American needs to realize the fact that we are being abandoned, and the actions of our government worldwide will come back to haunt us. Now, do we want to show the world that we are subservient and that we agree with our government and what they're doing to other people in other countries? Or do we want to show the world that we don't agree with these jagoff politicians who do insider trading, who have gold-plated healthcare, who have six-figure salaries, who have a job as being a lobbyist or somewhere in the Wall Street big bank universe waiting for them when they either get elected out of office or retire? Do we want to show that we support these jagoff politicians who have, for the most part, for all their political careers, don't care about us and don't respect us and don't think about us? We got to show the world that we're different than them, because these politicians are not human. And I refuse to acknowledge them as human because they're not people in my book. But there we go. Maybe I'm being just too mean, but we have to make an effort and attempt.
That's violence, Kit.
I'm being mean. I'm being mean. I apologize to the audience. That was mean.
We need to reinvigorate the revolutionary spirit. I mean, it's honestly just so depressing, because I feel like the American people have just been beaten down for so long that they just think that this is the best we can do. Like, we deserve better, period. End of story. Each and every one of you, I don't care who you vote for. I don't care what party you belong to. I do not care. You deserve better. We deserve better than this. And the only way we're going to get it is if we come together and fight back.
I'm going to say, I'll go a little bit further. We're entitled. We are all entitled to a much better world than what these politicians are giving to us. So conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, just calm down. I'm just saying we are entitled to it because we deserve it, my friends.
We do. Yes.
No, but seriously, I'm glad to see that there is a joint coalition happening. I'm glad to see there's people stepping up. You even got a YouTube super chat from the wonderful Fair and Balance, who says Misty appreciation super chat with a heart. So there you go.
I love Farron. Thank you.
Yes, Farron does fantastic work.
Yeah.
Folks, yes, when you see this show and this clip, 29 days until February 19th. Let us all spread the word. On Rockfin right now, Hempcar says I should change my icons to the Rage Against the War Machine protests. So
nice.
be it.
I like it.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. So as a final note, Misty, I want to pull up the Rage Against the War Machine webpage again. So folks, Rage Against the War Machine, here it is right here. So Misty, where can people follow you online and social media so they could support your work? Because I know you do a lot of stuff. I know YouTube and Twitter like to silence and suppress you. So
yes, they do.
Where can people go so they could support your fantastic work?
I mean, following me is not really all that important. I'm on Twitter a lot at Sarcasm Stardust. You can follow me there. I do host the Action for Assange vigils. We've been on a bit of a break, mostly just because I was burnt out. But I'm gonna do a show tonight and just kind of update everybody. I'm gonna have the organizers from Rage Against the War Machine on the show here pretty soon. I'm gonna try to ramp that back up because the Assange stuff is gonna start really heating up pretty quickly here in the near future. So yeah, I'm on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. You can follow the Action for Assange vigils on YouTube and Rockfin and Odyssey and all of those places. And definitely check out the website for Rage Against the War Machine. There's a list of the 10 demands, which are all great. You saw a little bit of them in the video that Kit played at the top of the show. List of speakers, all of that stuff. You can donate. As I'm sure you can imagine, putting on an event of this size is not cheap. So if you have the ability to donate, please consider it. And yeah, just it really, if nothing else, try to show up. We need the kind of bodies in the street to make a statement. So if you can make it, please do. I'll be there. I know a lot of great people are going to be there, and I would love to see everybody out there if you can. If you can't, just help spread the word. That's really a huge help, is just helping get the word out there.
And that's a fantastic.
And thanks to you guys for having me on, for letting me talk about it. And for I mean, you guys have already had like 4 or 5 other people on to talk about it.
4 of them. Actually, I'm proud to say that we might potentially have a 5th one. And I'm really excited for her to be on our show next week, Tuesday. So
and you guys are always amazing. I know that it seems a little disingenuous because I'm currently on your show, but I mean that genuinely. You've always been incredibly supportive of me, of the Assange movement. And I genuinely appreciate that, really.
Well, that's what Hardlands Media is all about, fighting for a better future and having outstanding guests and people of different perspectives on our show. And Misty, I wanted to say this: you are one of the dauntless few, and I'm glad that you're going to be helping on the sidelines and spreading the word about this. But also, everyone, I urge and encourage all of you to follow Misty on social media. I want to thank my colleague Lauren Snyder for joining me. We'll be ending this program with a song from Jesse Jett.
Nice.
Who again has done a lot of great stuff. Be sure to again support independent media. Now more than ever, we have to fight for a better future and stand up against the neoliberal establishment that is trying to control us all. So without further ado, folks, peace, take care, and let us all do what we can to build a better future.
Land of the free, and you'll know us by the trail of dead. It's just one more world war to complete the set. When you live by the pike, you die by the pith. You die wide-eyed, still pleading the fifth, or crying divine epithets and pathetic attempts at defense. All empathetic for those on your side of the fence. Well, I'll gladly put you and your legacy into an alternate tense of faltering senses and altered events. Like hun, it ain't a hearse, it's a reaper's stretch. Ah, how sweet, she said. Bunch of hordes in the street like it's Evil Dead. Where the thin blue line meets razor's edge. And where the corporate ladder ascends to a steel-toed boot that awaits on the ledge. You'll be licking it fresh at your boss's request till it stomps each finger and watches you fall to your death. And drown in an ocean of debt. Gone with the fodder who gathered to honor the patient left, who purity tested themselves into sections, step by step, till the next election, when it's just one them and the sound of their well-read theorized breath. That's harm reduction for the lowly cost of you holding your nose and just openly buying the theft. Maybe that's all in the flick of the pen. Maybe we're all one unmarked van from a trip to the pen. Being guarded by pigs who exist on a diet of dying breaths of much worthier men. Honey, heaven's expecting you. Just don't get too hung up on who they let in. Just look up at the shine of the pearly gates. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the paint. You don't need to worry if there's lead in the water, lead in the milk, lead in the honey, lead in the caustic embrace of the Heavenly Father. Lead is the flavor of passive perpetual slaughter. Lead is the taste of us led to the ledge by the lure of the legend of expert consensus, and then beckon to stretch it just one step farther. And I hope all the folks who were boastfully gloating and toasting themselves as the heroes of COVID for boosting their boosters and doing their part are now equally thrilled to be starstruck martyrs. All laid in a government grave with anonymous markers, like you're back from the carvers and off to the splicer. You're the very first wave to be slain in the war against Pfizer. That 100 years war against Pfizer. They are thinning the crowd that is striking right now to bleed adequate pay from those inhuman misers, who all sit in their office and designate coffins to people regarded as nothing but profit for Kaiser. Still the Dems want you nicer. Dems want you softer. Dems want you kinder. Yeah, they all want you graciously starving in silence. You will speak when you're spoken to. Rest of the time, you and all of us peasants are merely depressing statistics neglected in Congress's binders. All bled, bone dry, then fed to the grinder. Our headstones line each step as reminders. That's a lesson in object permanence learned in the furnace by workers consigned to the fire. Workers bled, bone dry, then fed by the fed to the grinder. Fed by the fed to the grinder. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, and it dines on the dead. Now the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. And the fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, bleeds you dry, then dines on the dead. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dines on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. Here's where our leaders would see us all led. The fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your wealth into bread for itself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dies on the dead. Fed went straight to your head. Mind what you hide and your size unsaid, and your eyes turn blind to the signs unread. Flag bright red, so you let it in bed. You let it inside, and you'll see that it's fed. Never you mind that it grinds your mind, that it grinds yourself, then it bleeds you dry, then it dies on the dead. Here's where our leaders would see us all led.